I just wanted to start off with a big thank you for 1K. For some reason, there's 1K people following me. I'm not too sure why, but okay. This channel has basically just been me documenting my own craziness. So, thanks for following. Appreciate it. And yeah, with that out of the way, here we have some more experiments that I have been running on my pancake coil. So last video you would have seen me playing around with it. I decided to do some actual tests. I have the pancakes. I figured I'd draw these pictures here for what I've done so that you can visualize exactly what I'm doing and how I'm connecting these pancake coils. So I've got one clockwise and one counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise at the moment, and that was test A and B as per test A and B here that you can see there. And in test A you can see that the bottom parts, the insides of the coil, e.g. the insides of the coil, are connected together, and the outsides have the diodes. Test B, the coils don't change, but instead we connect the red to the green outside with diodes. C will be both coils, sorry, I've written that wrong. Both coils will be counterclockwise and connected in a similar fashion. Now, coil orientation like this does matter, especially in pancake coils, as they will give you slightly different effects based on what you're doing. For many normal applications there, it doesn't really matter, but for the stuff that we're playing around with, it does matter, and the data actually shows that even just between A and B we'll get some more different results, I'm assuming, with C and D, but I haven't done those yet. Now I've started off doing a duty cycle of 20%, 12 volts, and I've written down how many milliamps I was using and how much voltage we were getting out on our capacitor. And then I did 10% duty cycle, same thing. So we have our diodes there. These are just signal diodes. I did get a PSU, so I can get exact 12 volts, exact 24 volts on that. That goes into the cap to smooth everything out, make sure there's nothing weird going on with the PSU. And I've changed the capacitor to this 300 volt 110 microfarad capacitor, just because with some of the tests the amount of time for the voltage to go up or down would mean that these tests would take hours to do. Yeah, this already took me about 2-3 hours to do as it is, especially since I kept getting distracted with some of the odd results that I was getting. But anyways, so you can see some of the anomalies that I was getting. Now on the 20% duty cycle we weren't getting too many odd anomalies. I've highlighted a couple and shown a couple interesting anomalies with milliamps. One of the more notable ones were between 60 and 70 kilohertz, where our voltage and our milliamps barely changed despite the cycles that we had, and it was similar across the board between the different voltages and different coils. So 20 kilohertz wasn't all that interesting. Everything seemed relatively okay. The odd parts that I did get, and this is where tuning would come in handy even further, was right about here at 40 kilohertz, 12 volts. Now I did the tests on the wrong configurations, so I've remarked these. So this was on the A configuration, this configuration here, where at 40 kilocycles, sorry, we had a drop in milliamps between 30 and 50 all the way down to 2, and yet our voltage was exactly the same between 40 and 50. So at 50 it will jump back up to 2.48 millivolts, but it seems this arrangement seems to really like 40k at 2 milliamps, where it will drop down to 2 milliamps and give us 22.3 volts. Now similarly, at 80k we had extreme drops in milliamps for our voltages. As you can see, 70 for instance here, we had 1.83, and 90 we had 1.35, yet at 80 we had 0.73. The other strange part was that in this region here, starting at about 70k, we would just get a drop off. Our LED wasn't on, and we would be getting no light, and our voltages were just very low. Now I did forget to mention that we were running this 32 volt, I think it's half an amp LED at these voltages. Now obviously it's nowhere near full brightness at these voltages, but sometimes when you're getting all the way up to 23 volts on the LED, it would be, you know, bright enough. But yeah, so going back to the anomalies here, as you can see, at 24 volts we would have a similar effect between 12 volts and 24 volts, and then on the B arrangement we would have a very similar thing happening there as well. And just so happens on 12 volts we also had an interesting anomaly here, where it would jump up at 90k and give us a higher voltage, 21.7, and then basically fall flat at 100k, sorry. So yeah, duty cycle, like I said in the last video, duty cycle, voltages, and frequencies do definitely have an effect. Now I'm sure I'll get some interesting effects on CMD, but yeah, just figured I'd make this update, and thank you for the 1k subs so far. If you've watched this far, then you should also know that I don't think I'm going to be monetizing this channel. There doesn't seem to be really any point. I think information should be free. I'm also a big believer in FOSS, free and open source, so all my experiments and tests and everything that I do are free and open source for anybody to use and play around and do as you like with. Obviously try not to defame me, but yeah, apart from that, I appreciate everything, and yeah, thanks for watching, I guess. And just to verify that those are real readings, you can see everything's running as I said. We are set at 12 volts. We are at 2 milliamps, 22.28 volts, 40 kilohertz, 10% duty cycle, and there's our anomaly of the 2 milliamps there. Now if we switch this to 50, we will get 2.42 and 2.3 volts. Very similar to what we were getting there, 2.48. And if we go the other way, where we had 30, so now we've got 30 kilocycles, and we should be getting 22.55 volts and 4.08 milliamps, and 22.555, jumping around a bit, and 4.27 milliamps. So as stated before, it definitely does like that 40k. So if we go back to 40k, and we get the same thing, 2.04 milliamps and 22 point thing. Our LED is on. And that's our voltage coming in. I guess we can try another one. We're at 12 volts on A configuration, so let's go to 80K and see if we get that anomaly there. This is just to confirm that the time of day and or I am not going insane and making up porkies. As you can see, our LED is pretty much dying, and our voltage will drop very slowly, mind you, but it's our milliamps, which is what we're roughly getting there. Although that time I got 0.73, and now we're fluctuating at about 88. Although our voltage is going down, so I'd need to short that. I think that was the reason. I shorted that, and it went down, and it raised back up to 18.6. So we could try. That's 24 volts. Okay, let's go to 90 and watch our milliamps go up. Set out, and there goes our milliamps up. So the general rule of thumb would be that the lower the frequency, as you can see, the milliamps goes down. But in some anomalies, because of the arrangements of the coils, we have an input that drops despite the fact that the output stays the same.